Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Aries August 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant, and it's great to see you. I hope you're doing well. Now, I've done many readings, clairvoyant readings and healings for people over the course of the last month, and if you're interested in having a clairvoyant reading with me or just seeing what's involved, check out the information that's in the description box below. And if you have an interest in having a healing from me, healings are free. Readings are not, but healings are free. Check out the information that's in the description box below. Now, as the subscribers know, and what a joy it is always to see you, I really do appreciate you stopping by each month. We only take 5 cards, don't we? And as you also know, there are no video advertisements breaking their way into this content, and so you get to enjoy the experience without any interruption from video advertisements. Now, this is a deck which is depicting the Italian Renaissance period, and I'm sure we'll find some interesting imagery within it as we look closely at the cards. So let's get it underway and then we'll have a look. What's this first one that's here? Death. That's interesting. Fantastic card. That's a good one. The first card to come up. And there is the Ace of Cups. This is the Popess. Told you it was Italian Renaissance, didn't I? What might this be? I love the imagery on this deck, actually. There's the Devil. Wow, you've got some 3 major arcana out of 4 there, and one of them is the Ace. So what finally is there for you, my dear friend here? Let's have a look and see. It is the 8 of Wands. Well, why don't you come now? Sit down here next to me, as is our usual practice. Why don't we have a good close look at the paintings and what's in them together while I do the reading for you? Gee, I love these cards. You've got a lot of great things happening for you this month. Let's look first at this Ace of Cups. Wow, there's a lot going on in the imagery of these things. Do you mind if I just go through some of the imagery that I think is quite interesting? You may, of course, see things that I don't see. Well, here we have the Ace of Cups. Well, there's a fountain, obviously, here, and that's for the suit of cups. Now, its base is made up of broken ice down here. Looks like some sort of a serpent's tail. There's tortoiseshell, and then there's a heart. Now, lying down amongst the ice, there is a mother tabby cat, but she's quite happily nursing her 3 young kittens, a white one, a black one, and a red one that's there at the base of this. Now, there is a woman up here, and she is sitting in the basin of this fountain, and what she's doing is she's breastfeeding 2 babies, and she tramples a snake, and 2 horned dolphins guard her. Now at the side there's a sad face and a happy face that are spurting out the water there of that hexagonal basin. Hex meaning 6, which is good because I have a real connection with the number 6 with Christ consciousness, Vishnu consciousness, Krishna consciousness. It's a very, very spiritually, emotionally, and physically rejuvenating and optimistic card, this one here for you. Now, she's trampling this snake that's down here, isn't she? I mentioned that. And the water, of course, is flowing over the edges. Now, this thing down here, I guess that's supposed to be a dove, and that would represent the Holy Spirit of the Christian tradition. And from its beak, blood-colored drops fall first into the lotus flower that's beneath it, and then through the fruit of the fountain base and down into the stem, which just goes to show that the divine is coming through you during this month. Now, I would say, given the position that that card is in here, that Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Libra are likely to be associated with you during this period. This is the Lord of the root of the powers of the earth. and it's cups. Well, cups embody the experience of relationships, the pursuit of happiness, love, fulfillment, pleasure. But of course, we can't have these things unless we have experienced the opposite, can we? But nevertheless, there is here for you, I think, a real sense of abundance and possibly a new relationship or a birth or a pregnancy that you're going to hear of, sensual passion for you. Emotional balance is available to be used and drawn upon by you for, at least another 6 months, I think. I think what you are looking for in a relationship is you are seeking to become whole by finding in someone else maybe what you are lacking in yourself. And of course we all lack things. Do you know, for me, the Ace of Cups here is really the feminine counterpart to the Ace of Wands. It's open, receptive, surrendering, and bearing the transformatory power of giving love. Now, what there is here is the sense that that which is internally felt expresses itself externally, clearly and openly. Emotional clarity results. And I think the giving of love at this time is going to happen effortlessly. That which continually flows into you from the boundless abundance of the universe radiates outwards again by itself if you remain open and receptive. Now you can compare it, I suppose, to, look at these swan wings that are underneath here. I guess you can compare it to these swan wings which can open. Now, and the fruit here has a perfume to it, which also exudes fragrance. Now, this giving of love isn't dependent on individual, perhaps even close people. There's so much to share. All of existence can take part in it, becoming one with the all-embracing, omnipresent, that is everywhere, love in such silent ecstasy here. I think this represents unconditional love, so you should also give and forgive unconditionally to get inner peace. Really, the cup of unconditional love is being offered to you. Will you drink from it? But now is a time when you are in contact with all-embracing love. It fills you, and you can pass it on generously, lavishly to others. What is your way of expressing love? Just let this image work on you for a moment, and say this to yourself. All-encompassing love fills me and my environment. Now let's see what there is next. There is, as I recall, this Popess. Wasn't there a Pope Joan in mythology who was said to have been crowned Pope? I don't know. My church history is not up to scratch, apparently. Now let me see here. I'm pretty sure there was a Pope Joan around at one time, which would of course made her the only female pope ever, if in fact it did happen at all. Well, the Popess, there's a young Popess here, and she's looking out from her throne with peace and with wisdom. Now her robes, as you can see them here, they're really a dark blue, which symbolizes her feminine intuition. And there is a crescent moon up here. Do you see this on top of her? What would you call that? A tiara or a crown or something? Maybe a tiara. And in her right hand is the Book of Life. And I can't help but notice there is a diagram of the Tree of Life in the Kabbalah that happens to be there. But I won't go into the Tree of Life now. There's plenty of time for other things first. And in her left hand are a gold key and a silver key. Now at her breast is a Maltese cross, and that's got a little child's face stuck on it. And I think that does actually refer to the legend of Pope Joan, the female pope. Now behind her shoulders, there's a veil here, And that is held up by the moon. There, you can see it. And the sun. You can probably just see that there, with rainbows streaming down on each side of it. Now the archer's column, look at this arch coming up here, this arch coming up on her left-hand side there. Well, that's supported at the bottom by a black, sphinx, I suppose, that Egyptian sort of symbol. I think that symbolizes the feminine side of life. And the thing up here also incorporates a mermaid who, at the top of it's being tempted by a serpent with an apple. No doubt a reference to that Garden of Eden story. Now, what else is there over here? Well, this fiery column on her right is masculine, of course. And in it are little flames, water drops. What else is there? It looks like a lizard and a bat. And the poetess's foot rests on a green cushion the colour of grass, and the checkered floor gives way to life and nature. Now, I'm not surprised that there is a crescent moon on top of her hat there, whatever it is, because the moon is all over this, which is about going deep. It's about subconscious. And the moon represents cycles and going with the flow of life itself. So I think that this is a time when you will have access to your intuitive powers. Thanks very much to this intuitive colouring that's going on here. Healing, independence, and you'll have a great increased self-confidence. I think it's a time also when you will be discovering your real truth, your own truth. And there's emotional stability around here with you as well. Do you know, you are going to be in touch with your intuitive abilities and trust them completely. Now, she perceives and is connected with her own inner voice, the internal guide and healer. And this shows outwardly in her trust and responsibility to herself. Do you know, the more you accept yourself and share with others, the deeper the clarity of your perceptions will become. And I think that that is symbolized by this checkered floor. The priestess of the silver star is what I call her. Now, I see here balance, intuition, insight, self-knowledge, and certainly unwilling to limit or restrict yourself, or to restrict others either, I don't think. I think this is the beginning of a very important creative cycle for you. Now, I do see you asserting your independence, and as I just mentioned earlier, there is high self-confidence and high self-esteem here. And in particular, you become aware of intuition as a gift. It really is the time for, and look at these plants, of discovering the oasis that is within you. Now, this can represent the beginning of a platonic friendship with someone, or even some alone time to work out what you really want and let your mind process things, sort your plans out. But you realize, don't you, that always that changes on the inside are necessary to make changes on the outside? I think you now have access to your intuitive powers. Develop them more fully and guard your independence. Are there any areas in your life in which you allow others to influence you rather than trusting your own intuition? Now, for some reason, I'm getting the feeling that you should seek out water as often as you can. Just sit down and watch the water and learn from it as much as you can, and say this to yourself: I deeply honor the value of the human being that I am. I am intuitive and perceptive. I trust myself and honor my sense of integrity. I trust my intuitive abilities. Now, there's just something else that's coming along with respect to her, and it is I think you're going to find out some secrets, uncover some secrets. That's just what I'm getting. Anyway, let's have a look at death, which is always a good energy. And in particular in this spread here, the first card you drew, always important. Now let's have a look. Oh boy, this is a very interesting painting. Now here we have a skeleton that's dancing on blue ground holding a scythe whose handle used to be a human spine, you see. Quite macabre. Actually, you know, the pose of death here reminds me of Lord Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction and renewal. And this raven that's flying around here, well, that is a symbol of decomposition, which is natural when you have death, and it's gliding around nearby. No problems at all. The landscape actually is strewn with human hands. Do you see? Look at these hands poking up that are there. But what's interesting is that this means that there's new things happening, there's plenty of energy, because there's these green plants that are growing up next to it as well. So there's new growth coming through here. And on the right is a woman's head, a child's head, and a man. That I don't know, but I would assume is that of the artist, his wife, and probably child. Now, the child of the great transformers, the lord of the gate of death. Well, this is Mars ruling Scorpio here, and there with Mars, the planet of fiery energy here in its lowest form, which is necessary to provide the energy for things to burn down and to grow up again. So I think what we have here is feelings of death and resurrection. Scorpio around here, lots of Scorpio energy here as well. Well, actually Mars in Scorpio, that's good, because Mars is actually the ruler of Scorpio. I'm not one of these people, well, maybe the CEO, because it's pretty hard to say that a planet can rule a constellation, if you know what I mean, but maybe the CEO of it's probably a better way to look at it. I'm not one of these people that thinks that Pluto is the CEO of or ruler of Scorpio. Just because you happen to find a planet, just go, stick it in there, but that's not the case at all. There's a lot of transformation going around here, and becoming free of old ensnarements, old binding things around you, as well as some external changes. There's endings coming about, letting go of emotional attachments. In some respects, it's the end of an era or a cycle, and transformation is everywhere around. Just have these words that, thou art the death of me, I am slain in my love for thee, O devouring serpent, O immortal python, O crushing wisdom. Yeah, this change that's coming around is voluntary or involuntary. It may be sudden and unexpected. There's certainly going to be a release of something from you. I think that old relationships are demanding to be, that is outworn relationships, they are demanding to be let go, I think, disintegrated. Now this process could be bound up with painful experiences. However, your drawing this card indicates your readiness. The act of letting go, difficult as it may be, is going to liberate you, free you. Now, death shows two faces, one destroying and tearing down, and the other freeing you from old bonds which have become confining, preventing life. Now, which of these aspects will predominate depends on your attitude. And any desire to hold on to or cling to old bonds will cause their death to appear that much more agonizing. Now, there is something in your life which will be dying, dissolving, disintegrating, whether it be a structure you have created, a pattern, or a habit, or a way of thinking about yourself. Now, this is necessary for new beginnings and transformation in your life. It could also be a time when you do face your darkest fears, but remember that the darkest hour is that just before the dawn. And remember also that in order to grow and abandon the old, death is your protection against stagnation. You are forced to leave behind what you have outgrown. And I think you are now ready to make the necessary changes in your life. Accept the pain that may come with the loss of the old. To what outdated relationships or situations are you clinging? Say this to yourself: I let go of people or situations with ease and dignity. Every ending heralds the new beginning. I now say yes to death and yes to myself. Well, going down that column, there's another major arcana which is under. This is a very transformatory period for you. I can see that everywhere. It's also, I think, in some degree being set out in this card, although there's some other aspects coming through here as well. Let's see here. Just give me a second to look at the card and to absorb the energy that's coming through here now. Let's have recourse to having a look at some of the imagery here. Well, the body of the devil really has the four elements attached to it. His red face symbolizes fire. These scales that are on his legs, they're like fish scales, aren't they? And they symbolize water. And the goat legs that are down here, they symbolize the earth. And these wings that he has here, they symbolize the air. Now there's a mouth on his stomach here, which is sticking its tongue out and being quite rude or mocking. That's there. Now his wings and the star on his forehead, well, I think that they indicate that once the devil was one of the angels of heaven, known as Lucifer, which is the bringer of light. And in his left hand, he's got a sword, which doesn't seem to have any handle on it. And I think that that is a symbol of unleashed sexuality. And his fiery right hand makes the, well, this is, if I'm not mistaken, that is the occult sign of greeting, to have hands up like that. Now, the two horns that he has on his head, you see these things coming out, and these animal ears that are there, well, they really speak to me of his real material quality. That is his creature quality. And notice here, there's a couple of female breasts. Now, that would suggest, I think, that the devil is not really a he, but rather has the quality of both genders. Now, there's a gold male and a green female, a couple of demons, I suppose, at his feet doing a dance. Maybe it's the tango. Don't you think that the tango is the most sexual and sensual of dances? I should learn to do that before I die. Now, the 3 steps upon which he's, this thing's sitting here, I think that talks about structure and symbolizes hierarchy. And there are flames leaping up through the cracks in the floor. Now, because of his appearance there and where he is, this is Saturn ruling Capricorn with Mars exalted, that fiery energy of Mars, which is the in its best form here, the material energy of creation. And Mars and Capricorn work pretty well together here, and there's a lot of procreative energy, a new vitality, humor and having a good fun, and a great degree of sensuality or sexuality. creative energy. People are going to find you very attractive. You realize that, don't you? Now, you could be acting on blind impulse here, and you will be irresistible to people, and I think you'll have a great degree of endurance here. This card, I think, represents tunnel vision in a sense, because the devil here, his vision is usually directed at some material goal. Now, that can relate to a career, an ambition, or looking after your own best interests, and there's nothing wrong with that. And certainly it implies that you can accomplish a lot if you are focused, because the devil isn't distracted by other things. He's very focused on the task at hand. Now, I see Capricorn all over this card, so astrologically, Capricorn is the sign of business, career, worldly success, and social standing. And Capricorns are usually hard workers and high achievers. Now, you may feel restricted or imprisoned by a situation that something appears to be out of your control, but you have more influence over the situation, I think, than you think that you do. And you need to accept that you do have an ambitious side, but see it for what it is without becoming a slave to it. You'll have a strong desire to compete, to improve, and to win. And you might be very sexually attracted to someone or have the desire for a relationship. Now, sometimes it could be people who demonize you and make you out to be the devil. Well, meet them with humor and lightness and accept what life gives you. Keep your feet on the ground. And you have some wish or desire that you don't admit to. Say this to yourself. I am a vital, joyful, and grounded person. I enjoy my sexuality. Whether my problems are real or imagined, I can handle them realistically and with good humor. I am the captain of my life. And then that takes us finally, and I'll have to do it quickly, I think, because I'm aware of your time, to this Eight of Wands. Well, actually, this is about... this is an interesting... Not a lot to this, but what there is interesting. This painting, anyway. Here, there is a young man who is, making a proposition to a young woman, I suppose, who seems to be quite coy, as much as if to say, well, Mr. Winchester, I do declare. And later on, they're seen to be fighting and scratching each other. And then there's a couple of children playing around, but they've got the same colours on, and these vines are all producing wine. Now, what's interesting, or wine grapes rather. Now, what is interesting here is that the astrology of the card is Mercury in the first decan of Sagittarius. So you will be clear, direct, swift. You'll have great powers of communication, because Sagittarius has that swiftness and direction of the arrow, and Mercury is all about communication. And with a clear, direct, sensible communication, you will overcome obstacles, and events are going to move fast. Blockages are going to be removed. Opportunities are arriving quickly, and the manifestation of results is imminent. What a particularly great month for you. Well done, and good job as always. I really must say that that was a very interesting set of information provided by the cards for you this month, don't you think? And doesn't it look like it's going to be a fantastic month for you? And you deserve it, I think, don't you? Now, do me the favor, would you, if you did like the video, please press the like button on your way out. It helps the YouTube computer thing promote the channel. And that's the only favor I ever ask of you, so thanks if you do that, and I'll see you again next month. Now, but remember this though, until I do that you are a legend, and I do look forward to seeing you again next month, and until then, it's bye for now.